You are listening to Possibly Good, Probably Bad.
Record. Okay. Here we go.
Alright, we're on the air.
Alright.
We're going live. Alright,
CES,
5, 3,
Trollwind.
7, 1.
I hate you, Kai.
Alright, let's go.
I'm not editing this. I'm just gonna remove the fucking...
I don't give a fuck, dude.
Okay.
As long as I don't say anything that starts with an N and ends with something else.
Alright,
then we're
IGGA.
good. Or any variant of that. Hold on one second. What's up? Cake, Matthew. Cake. That's what's on the menu.
Oh, I have specific talking points, I think.
Oh yeah, you do. You should find those. Meanwhile, keep it recording so that people can listen to you finding them.
Oh, I already found them. It was in a folder on Notepad called HNGUFEW. Hingeview.
That great naming scheme there.
Yep, that's pretty good. I don't even know what it was. I just typed randomly.
That's how the best documents are formed. Big Mexican woman? Or the big money waster, which is what it's turning out to be with the S1000?
Alright, focus, Kai. What did
Yours
you
truly.
think about... What about
Steam machine.
the Steam machines, yes.
Alright, so I thought that Zotac had a pretty great box going. It's about this. It's a little bit smaller actually than the Mac Mini currently. It looks like. The guy was a little undescript in telling us the specs of it, but it looked really promising. Everything else though, I feel like I could have just built myself, and I get that part of the point of a Steam machine is just to have it all in a nice one kind of box, but if you're gonna sell PC gaming as something that's different than a console game, you gotta make something unique, and I think Zotac had a good idea with their box, and I know it's not necessarily a new box design or anything like that, but just the form factor and the power they put into that box was really good. But I don't see PC gaming really taking off until you have to get a diverse box in order for it to really go somewhere in the TV world. You gotta have something that people want to look at. And unfortunately, everything else just kind of looked generically PC.
What did you think about when they announced how many products were actually coming out under the name of Steam Box? Did that surprise you?
No. I expected a lot of... oh, excuse me, sorry. I expected a lot of people to try to make them. So I wasn't really surprised by the number that there were. There wasn't like a massive number, though. I would say I was... To be quite honest, what I really hope for is I was really, really, really hoping this year for a Mac kind of a new Mac Mini. I don't care about the Mac portion of it. I cared about the form factor. I wanted them to do something cool with the form factor because that form factor that new form factor that Apple would have made would have automatically pushed something new for CES, or at least for the Steam boxes. People would go to there and they'd flock to that Apple stuff, so everyone would want to copy it. And I think the Mac Mini is the right direction to go. So there were a lot of people there. There were a lot of companies there making products, but like I was saying previously, it was really the very small form factors that really got me impressed.
All right, cool. Now I know JD's opinion about the Razer Christine. He went on a little bit of a tirade.
To say the least.
Honest opinion, what do you think about what did you think about that shit?
Well, I think my previous comment before the podcast summed it up, but I wanted to add to that.
Yeah, that's kind of not useful.
And I know, I'll go over that real quick. I just wanted to troll people. But basically, I don't think it's necessarily a bad concept. I just don't see Razer executing it that well, and I don't, and I say that because they would charge an absolutely absurd amount of money for what they'd be offering, but what they'd be offering would actually be a decent product. Because the Project Christine, the cool thing about it was, and there's very few people that are going to comment on this, but it was actually cooled by mineral oil. Now, the cool thing about mineral oil is you can submerge components, like full-on components, into mineral oil and run them. Like, people build fish tanks with mineral oil and put like their I don't think they put their hard drives in there, but they put their entire motherboards in there. They put their RAM, their CPU, and they run their entire computer out of a fish tank in mineral oil because it's a great heat conductor. So the whole concept of the thing is, I think, completely dumb. The PCs are already modular. They don't need to be necessarily more modular, but at the same time, if at the expense of a little bit of money, like maybe like $100 premium over, or rather not $100 premium, but a decent percentage premium over the regular markup of the product added onto that, but you get the mineral oil cooling and all the other benefits such as quick swap and other stuff like that. I think that it would be a nice addition to the PC market in addition to what we have.
All right. So moving on from like more specific products, I assume you guys saw a lot of this, but curved televisions, they're a big thing now. What do you think about those things? Just give it a little bit of
fucking queer. That shit's so fucking queer. Like, I remember talking with JD. I was just like, what the fuck's the point of this? Like, I could completely understand if like a TV could do like a 360 and like that technology, because I could see. I can't really see this, but you could theoretically, if you wanted to, put your TV on a corner and then have your TV morph into the corner. Like, that would have been cool. But just the fact that there's like not even that noticeable of a degree tilt, or not a degree tilt, but like just a curvature of the screen, it was so unnoticeable that it wasn't even like worth anyone's time. Yeah, people were like tripping over it. They were like, "Oh my God, it's curved!" Yes, and they've been doing this in mobile screens for years and years. And while I understand that a TV's not a mobile screen, the amount of bend that they had was just not impressive enough, at least for me, to be going, well, I can't recommend it at all, and I don't see the value in it, nor do I see the value in it even in a couple years, because yes, there's talk of, it's more theatrical to have a curved screen, but at the end of the day, you're just going to sit around with a bunch of buddies getting high anyway. You're not going to fucking care about the quality of the TV. That's the point of TV, is you don't care.
And it seems like if they kept going on with that, it's pretty much only useful for the guy in the middle, because all the other pictures on the curves to be a little bit warped.
Yeah, and then you have to deal with viewing angle, which then becomes a huge issue, because and IPSs are really good about it these days of pretty much getting rid of that. There's still a bit of viewing angle issues, but I don't think we're going to reach a time in where we have 180-degree viewing angles per se. But yeah, exactly. You're definitely there, Matthew. You're gonna see distortion if you're anywhere but the middle, and then everyone's gonna be complaining about how and even think about this. If the TV is warped, if you're watching like a football game, which is what most of these people are going to be doing on it anyway, and it warps a little bit, they could be screaming at a bad play that's actually a good play, and they won't even note it because of the light shift or because of the color shift. So in fact, it's terrible for any gaming industry because it could warp the entire image and you could die.
Literally. So
literally,
General consensus, leave the curved screens with IMAX where they're supposed to be, and just make better televisions.
Yes. And not better televisions, meaning let's push 4K to everybody, because let's be realistic, 4K is pretty useless, but just the one thing I'd like to see in TVs is I'd like to see a good, I want to see some integration, and I don't mean like this kind of shitty-ass integration we're doing now where you can install apps on your TV. I mean, that's great, but it'll get very outdated really quickly. What I want to see is like a TV for the ability just to go over Wi-Fi and drag content down from your PC. Like that's all I want to see from like a TV. Is I just want to have the ability just to go. I can play any video that I want, any picture that I want, just stupidly simply that I can access on my PC. And no one's really done that. You'll have to go through like a bunch of hoops to get that working, and it's just, and then yeah, there we go.
All right, good tirade. I guess the last big thing at CES was a lot of wearable computing.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Ranging from very flat, like the Samsung bendy thing, to watches and shit. What did you think about the wearable computing at CES and wearable computing in general, I guess?
As best put by the fake Gabe Newell interview, that's from I think it's like Crystal Video or something. That is some faggot shit.
That is some faggot shit.
It is some faggot shit, dude. I swear to God. The problem with wearable tech is we're getting there. We're definitely getting there, but the tech we have now is not up to a standard in which I would call market ready. I think in the next maybe 2 years it'll be there, but the thing about smartwatches and such like that is I personally don't understand them. I don't wear a watch. I don't like wearing watches. I don't like being that kind of flashy. Some people like being flashy like that. I just don't. So, but the goal of a watch is to look good and bring attention to yourself. No smartwatches or any of these quote-unquote smart devices, which, on a side note, are just not even smart. They're just completely dumb. Maybe exception with the Pebble, which people are like, oh my god, jizz all over my dick for the Pebble, but it looks okay. Definitely better than the Samsung Gear. But they don't have that premium look that people who pay for watches in the first place want, I would feel. And the people that do buy them are kind of just getting on a bandwagon so that they can say they're on a bandwagon, which I've done that before, but to each their own, I guess.
What about continue?
Oh, no, I was actually pretty much done with that.
Yeah. What about any ocular wearable computing, things like that?
So I actually got the opportunity to play with Oculus Rift. It
Really?
was only for a brief moment. And let me just describe to you what my brief moments were with Oculus Rift. Holy shit, I don't understand why I'm seeing double vision, like double vision, and the colors are really off, and I now have a headache, and now I'm putting this down.
So, not as good as everyone's hyping it up to be at the moment?
I just got frustrated. I'm sure that if I spent some time with it and I figured out how it worked and I got the settings all right, it would be a different experience. But on a show floor, it should just be working, and it wasn't. So, but the biggest thing that I found about it, and this is something that I can say without a doubt is an experience that you can have with or without being on a show floor, is just it wasn't that comfortable. I mean, it wasn't awful to wear, but if you put it on, you kind of wanted to tilt forward.
What was that just being just center of gravity is off, or is it just too heavy?
It's a really heavy device. Now, it's not like extremely heavy to where it feels like a brick on your head, but it's definitely noticeable. And a couple of times I had to pick my head back up because I was drooping it down because it was kind of heavy.
Huh.
So, at least for me, I think after it would be good for like an hour of playing, and that's about all the time I would ever want to be on that thing at any given length of time. But if some crazy person is going to do this more than in like an hour or so, you have to take breaks. It's going to put a huge strain on your neck.
All right, sounds pretty good.
As far as wearable tech in that regards, I wasn't that impressed. I realize it's somewhere we're going, but you know, I've kind of stayed out of it, and kind of glad I have been.
Didn't they have little Sorry, continue.
Oh no, go. I was actually going to go to a different thing, so what you had to say. So.
Did you get a chance to play with the thing that was regarded as the companion machine that's been building up for the Oculus Rift, the little trampoline, 8-directional kind of trampoline type thing?
I don't believe I saw that. Now, that being said, I was sick. I was starting to get sick on the second day we were there, and then by the third day it was just like, my body is done.
Alright.
So that's that. And then as for other wearable computing devices, I actually didn't see that many. What I did see, though, a lot of was Google Glass, and I wasn't looking for Google Glass, but a lot of people had them on.
Huh. Did you try it
That
on?
could just no, I wasn't able to. I didn't ask anybody, and to be quite honest, most of the people who had them kind of just looked like the pompous people. They'd be like, no, you're not important enough for me to talk to you.
Did they look like idiots with Google Glass on?
I actually didn't think so. They did. It stood out. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wasn't actively looking for it. Whenever I like glanced by someone's face, that if I saw the little magnifying, or not magnifying device, but the mini LCD device, I was like, oh. So it was definitely noticeable, but it wasn't awkward. Now that also being said, I didn't talk to anybody with it, so I don't know what it would be like to have a conversation with somebody that has it on would be like, but. It's in my car. I need to go out of my car. Okay. Yeah. In terms of having a conversation with the person, I don't have any info on that, unfortunately.
All right. So, dumbest thing you saw at CES, the most absolute drop-dead stupid thing you saw.
Holy shit. So I don't necessarily remember the dumbest thing that I saw, but what I did see was just. Oh, because I turned off the gas. The one thing... Oh, I need to put gas in my bike. Shit. The one thing I did see a lot of was, like, what I've seen a lot of times recently, or not recently that I've gone, but, like, the last times I've gone, and it just seems to be spiking in popularity, is these toys that are powered by Bluetooth. Now, the toys themselves aren't that big of a deal. Like there's a ball that rolls and you can control it with your phone. Or there's a helicopter that you can control with your iPad. That's great, but like the adult world isn't going to have enough time to do anything with these devices because they're adults. So they're essentially they're adult toys, but they're generally meant for kids. So when it all comes all down and said and done, these toys are $100 a pop, and like the helicopter's like $300. So
That's pretty expensive for a fucking kid.
Then again, as I say,
it's like, go just play soccer, assholes.
Yeah, like, or you can just go to like Radio Shack and get like okay, maybe not a $5, but like a $50, and even then that's a little expensive for Radio Shack for these kind of things. But like $50 RC plane, and that will serve essentially the exact same purpose as your $200 copter, but you won't have to like not give your kid lunch for the next week.
Alright, so as we wrap up the CES talk, we gotta live up to the name that we've chosen for our channel.
Okay.
And that is, can you describe the trolling that occurred at CES?
Perfect. Alright, so let's see here. So it started with it started at the Panasonic booth. And
Okay.
what happened at the Panasonic booth was just absolutely hilarious. So I'll go with mine and then I'll go with JD's, because JD's was pretty interesting. But Samsung has this new, Panasonic has this new Toughbook tablet. It's like a 17-inch laptop or 19 or 20-inch screen that has Intel stuff in it, and it's like an actual computer, and it runs Windows 7. So I go to this lady and I'm like, hey, I just want to know a little bit more about this product, and she's like, okay, well, it has this, and it has an i7 processor, and it has 8 gigs of RAM, and it has like these specifications, and while she's talking, I'm just doing I did a sysinfo, and searched up the computer's actual specs while she was talking, and I'm like, oh, so you're using a third gen i7. Is any info on why you're not using the Haswell stuff, the new stuff that's been out for about 6-8 months now? And she's like, well, the thing about the third gen i7s is they actually have more updates. So if you know anything about processors. Processors don't get updates. You don't update a processor. You update a motherboard, but you don't update a processor. So that's completely false. And so I was just like, okay. I didn't say the story, but I was like, okay, well, that's cool. Thank you. And then I walked away because I was like, yeah, this is not worth my time. So then JD, holy shit, this is awesome. So JD gets into talks with this camera guy over at Panasonic's cameras booth, and I didn't catch the whole conversation because I walked away for a little bit of it because JD gets over obsessive with cameras sometimes. Yes, JD, you do. If you're listening to this, if you ever listen to this, I love you, but camera stuff, awesome.
People don't
but...
listen to this. What the fuck?
No, I know, exactly. That's why I can say whatever I want. But JD was going cray with the sales guy for the Panasonic cameras, and when I get back, all pretty much it's devolved into JD arguing with this guy. So JD has this apparently this mid to high range camera not mid to high range. I think it was a slightly better than introductory DSLR. So it was like in the $1,000 range, whatever. And JD's comparing it with his camera, and the guy is talking with him, and JD's asking him questions, and the guy starts getting mad because JD is doing capture tests and is like comparing the photos against his camera and this camera, and the guy's like, this is not how you do this. I've never seen anyone done like, I've never seen photo comparison shots taken on the camera themselves, and JD's like, well, okay, then can I do a comparison test on the computer? He's like, no, you can't do that because that would be bad. And then and then it gets to the point where JD was talking about the lens of the camera that he was using, and the guy was like, yeah, it's not so, or he's like, JD was like, it's not such a great lens, and then he said something like, it's not a great lens. I feel it's a kit lens. It's not that big of a deal. And the guy is like, oh no, this isn't a kit lens. This is a lens that costs like $1,000 and is like not, it's like specifically chosen for this application. And JD just goes, holy crap, I feel bad for you then. And then we just walk away, and like everybody looked at us, and then everybody just went back to what they were doing like right after that happened. It was so fucking hilarious. So that was that. So then we get to the Nikon booth, and let me go upstairs real quick, and I'll tell that story.
Good radio here.
All right. All right.
So far, I rate your trolling as would not bang.
I know, but it gets pretty great here. So we go to the Nikon booth, and JD starts running the same comparison test, and the guy behind the counter he doesn't know all the information that JD's asking him, so he goes and gets a floor manager. The floor manager comes over and starts arguing with JD because of the way JD's doing his comparison tests. And he's like going like all in, like, you're doing this wrong, you don't know what you're doing, you've clearly never been in photography. and so like 4 minutes into the conversation with this guy rage quits. He says, I'm done, I'm going, and then he walks away straight from JD while he's talking. And then like a minute and a half later, these Chinese TV people come in, and they ask JD like these questions about like cameras and such, and the floor manager, it gets like hella scared apparently, so he goes and brings over like one of the lead engineers for Nikon, and so I'm like, okay, this is gonna get good. So I get out the camera and I start recording the conversation, and the guy is talking, the technician is talking with JD, and then all of a sudden the floor manager comes out, and he's like, whoa, he's recording you better watch out. And then the engineer's just like, yeah, I don't give a shit, whatever, and he keeps on talking. But no matter what JD said, the Nikon guy didn't have anything to back it up, so eventually they all three just rage quit and walked off.
So you managed to piss off the lead engineers at a lead engineer at Nikon, a floor manager, which is like retarded baby Down syndrome. That was a little too
Yeah.
much. That went from okay to bad. Yeah, that's a pretty good count of people that rage quit.
Pretty much. And then what happened next was I went to the Pioneer booth, and I asked one of the chicks there. Dude, these chicks are hot, by the way. But So I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a. I pull out the mumbo jumbo. I'm looking for a monoblock amp with a fan, and she's just like, okay, let me go get my manager. And I'm like, yeah, you probably won't. So the manager comes over and he's like, hey, how can I help you? And I'm like, hey, so I'm looking for a monoblock amp with a fan. My car gets hot in the summer, and occasionally the subwoofer amp overheats, and I just wanted to see if you guys had any amps. And he's like, well, why would you need a fan with an amp? Like, well, I just explained this to you. I have an issue where in the summer my car gets hot and I don't have enough airflow within the amp to move the heat out. He's like, well, how are you mounting it? And I'm like, well, I have it mounted against my roof with nothing around it, and it's metal on metal, so essentially it's a second heat sink on the back of it. And he's like, well, you don't need a heat sink. You just need to turn down your subwoofers. And I'm like, wait, you're telling me that I need to turn down my subwoofers because you don't offer a product that can suit my needs? And so he's like, yeah, well, you probably did something wrong, and that's why you're having it max out. And then I just say, well, fuck you, and I walk off.
Anything else?
In terms of trolling, we pissed some people off in the subway because I said I was the Razer CEO, and people weren't too happy with that. And when we tried to get off the plane, I was like pushing people. I was like, excuse me, Razer CEO coming through. Please excuse me. And they were not too happy with that. We unfortunately did not get to troll the Steam guys, because we were gonna say the Cleveland Steam box, which is a reference from that Silvermania video. Oh, there we go, Silvermania. There we go. But and then was there anything else we did to just fuck with people? We did say before we got on the plane to go to Las Vegas that the whole entire goal of this trip was to troll the shit out of everybody. But I think at the end of the trip, after we told the Asian people, holy shit, the Asian people on the way home, holy fuck. Okay, so. So we're on the plane ride coming home, and these Asian people in front of us, they're complaining about the kid in front. Or no, that wasn't it. I got pissy. I have this thing about people standing up in the rows of the aisles when the plane lands. Like, you're not going to get anywhere useful. Just take a seat and get down. So this Asian couple, they get up out of their seat when the plane lands, and they get their big ass suitcase from out atop the luggage rack, so that no one else can get out of their seat if they need to when the time comes. So I was like, I don't remember what I said. I texted JD and I'm like, Jesus, these people are fucking stupid. And JD's like, why do you need to text that? Dude, these fucking Asians and people in front of us are fucking stupid. And I'm like, all right. So I'm like, yeah, dude, who the fuck takes their luggage down before it's acceptable, before like everyone's out? And they're just like, and they were just like, shut the hell up. And and then JD and I just go, wah, and then they wah us back. And then at the end, and then like while we're walking out, since the chick still didn't have her bags, we were just trolling the shit out of them. Like, every time we got a bag, we'd be like, oh, one more to go. And they'd just be like hella mad. And then when we left, we were just like, hey, we're going now. So that whole time you spent having your one checkout baggage and fucking everything up in the line, yeah, we're already out and you're still waiting your asses here. So, bye. And then we left, and it was amazing.
Excellent.
Oh, those Asian people. Oh, those Asian people.
Managed to redeem a little bit. Next year, you need to come up and you just need to get JD in a stripper jacket.
We'll be 21.
Excellent. Good. So, anything else CES related?
The swag. I have two things I want to go over. I want to go over the swag real quick. There was so little swag that I wanted that I didn't even bother to get a bag.
What swag did you want?
Well, I've been to a lot of trade shows, and I know that you don't necessarily get a lot of stuff at trade shows that you actually want, but I would think for such a low, you can't sell stuff in the main CES hall. Ooh, excuse me. You can't sell stuff in the main CES hall. So while I wasn't expecting for people to be giving away like a lot of stuff, since it's a trade show. They want you to buy stuff and you want you to go home with it. I would have thought at least a little bit that they would have given out at least some nicer stuff to go with whatever they were selling, or at least offer like some really cool, crazy discounts that you'd want to be like, oh, okay, well I'll take your stuff in order to get that discount. Monoprice had some really good stuff. They had 10% off your order for like a couple weeks after CES. That was a really cool deal. I actually didn't take up on, but there was just nothing there that really compelled me to be like, oh, I really want to take this home with me. Now, the one exception was when we got lunch, and specifically the lunch where we got Togos, or not Togos, Quiznos, I think it was. We went and got our subs, and then we sat down against the wall in one of the main halls, and all of a sudden, this lady comes by. Hey, Nikon, or not Nikon, Nokia is doing just a promotional thing. Do you want a free battery pack? And we're like, okay. And so she hands us each a 2200 milliamp like spare battery that you can use to like plug in your iPhone or whatever, or your phone or iPod or whatever. So that was pretty cool, and I actually still have that, and I use it occasionally. But past that, in terms of the swag there, it wasn't like anything spectacular. Now, that being said, the year previous, my first year going, I got an HDMI cable and a couple other. I got an HDMI cable, I got a FireWire cable, and I got a couple other miscellaneous cables. I remember the FireWire cable because it lit up on both ends. And then the year after that, I don't actually remember getting anything that good. I think I threw most of it out because it was just paperwork, and I already have enough papers in my life. And then I'd have to say the second thing was getting sick. It was awful. Shat blood. That was not fun. And I felt like shit the entire Saturday day. Yeah, well, hey,
good.
Keep it interesting, right?
Yep.
So
right.
That wasn't fun. And yeah, that was CES. So if there's any other questions.
That was CES? Shitting blood was CES? That sums it up, right?
Pretty much.
Shitting blood curved TVs?
For listening to this shit. I hope you never return, because y'all are a bunch of faggots.
Alright, that's how we're gonna sign it off.
Cool.